A feisty kid with attitude who could hang with the big boys and more than held her own, Baby Lyssa was sure to be remembered by Dog the Bounty Hunter fans. Lyssa Chapman's life didn't merely calm down when the program ended, it was completely turned upside down. We're talking shocking changes that nobody saw coming, arrests, breakups, and instances that made headlines. It was believed by some that she disappeared into thin air. She was actually repairing. And now, her return to the limelight is due to factors unrelated to bounty hunting. Curious about her current whereabouts and activities? You won't want to miss this extraordinary recovery tale unless you stick around. You know, Lyssa's life journey was far from smooth. She was born into a broken family, as well as the scars from that first split. Little Lyssa simply wanted two parents who could coexist peacefully, rather than the ideal family that most girls her age fantasized about when they play home. She and her dad moved in together in Denver after the breakup, but they weren't the only ones. The majority of the childcare was handled by her 5-year-old sister Barbara. There was a lot of crime and drug activity in their neighborhood. Unfortunately, most problems were averted because Dog's name was respected. She saw her dad engrossed in work and surrounded by women all the time. Still, Lyssa had an intense connection to him. She always identified as a daddy's daughter, even though her home life didn't always reflect that. At the age of 6, her family took a drastic change and relocated to Hawaii. Life on the island was a strange combination of ease and hardship for Lyssa. They were all attempting to make it work out of a cramped studio in Honolulu. The memory of the time her dad rented a fancy car, paraded them through the city, and handed out sweets is one example of how he could make ordinary situations extraordinary. Yes, it was disorderly, but it was also something a child could cling to. Those lighter times, however, did not dispel the darker ones. Her siblings frequently took it upon themselves to care for Lyssa when her dog's substance abuse worsened. That meant lots of time in front of the TV with some inappropriate films and no one to talk to. She came to realize later on that she had no idea what normalcy meant after growing up in that type of setting. To begin to understand what good relationships were meant to entail, she had to go through a lot of difficult experiences. And the truth was far more convoluted for those who believed Lyssa and her dad always had a close relationship. She made a major accusation against him, claiming he had attacked her when she was only 11 years old. After some time had passed, she revealed that someone close to him had harmed her, not him. But getting out was her only concern at that moment. Dog and Beth's volatile relationship, substance abuse, and chronic bickering were too much for her to bear. Not everything was peachy when she uprooted her life and came to Alaska to be with her mom. Particularly with booze, her mother was fighting her problems. However, Lyssa perceived it as a more subdued form of mayhem. She finally felt that her life had meaning when she had a school, friends, and a purpose. There was no turning her back now. A factor that Lyssa later acknowledged likely stemmed more from her mom's sentiments toward Dog than anything else was the fact that her mom immediately believed her claims against Dog. However, Lyssa was confronted with an entirely different reality than the majority of her peers who were contemplating school dances. When she was 14 years old, she discovered she was expecting a child. Abby May, her daughter, was born the day after Lyssa turned 15. A man in his 20s who had pleaded guilty to statutory rape was the father of the child. It was a tragic turning point that brought an untimely end to her youth. Lyssa had been a parent for a while before she joined her dad's reality show in 2005, when she was only 18 years old. Having no one to lean on during the challenging times was a major challenge for the teen mother. Even her mother and her were at odds with one another. Her mom moved in with her boyfriend shortly after giving birth, leaving Lyssa and her newborn daughter to fend for themselves in a trailer while demanding $500 in rent. Her relationship with her dad, Dwayne Dog Chapman, was strained, and she was attempting to make ends meet by babysitting. There was no one she could have relied on at that moment. At one point, she discussed that period publicly, admitting that she felt hopeless about her future. Living in Alaska, she was struggling to make ends meet while caring for her infant daughter. She was broke and overwhelmed. The show had already begun broadcasting when she ultimately became a part of the Dog the Bounty Hunter crew. In order to familiarize themselves, most individuals would likely binge watch a few episodes, but Lyssa had never watched it. In Alaska, her family lacked cable. The arrival of the cameras in Hawaii to film season 2 was a total surprise to her. Because producers wanted to make a huge deal out of her return after a 6-year absence, they named the episode Baby's Back in Town. By this point, she had begun to feel that maybe she should reach out to her dad again. She might be able to try again with that aspect of her life. She spoke on her new perspective at a later time. For the first time, she felt like she could steer the ship. A scandal, however, shook the show shortly thereafter in 2007. The show was taken off the air because Dog was recorded spewing racist words. It reappeared the following year and lingered for some time, serving as a constant reminder that being in the limelight was not without its challenges. In 2013, Lyssa took a completely new approach to sharing her tale. Finding bravery and resilience in the face of adversity is the subject of her new book, Walking on Eggshells. According to her, the inspiration for the concept came from all the people who told her how amazing her life was. It was worth telling her tale if it may motivate or assist someone else, she reasoned. She achieved her goal with the support of a prominent publisher. She discussed the years-long abuse she had suffered in her book. It escalated from subtle, rough grips and pushes at first. The violence continued even when she was pregnant and in the early years of motherhood. She almost lost her life because of it one day. He choked her and pushed her to the floor during their aggressive argument. It seemed like the end was near at that moment. However, a change occurred. She departed with her two little girls, who were 11 and 3 years old, respectively. Not an easy road was ahead. It took a long time to file for a divorce, remove him from the house, and start over. After all that had happened, Lyssa still didn't despise him. She had spoken about the complexities of that kind of love. She likened it to loving someone whose addiction or serious problem is unsolvable. She had to come to terms with the fact that she couldn't fix him and that true love sometimes requires surrendering control. Despite the reality show's conclusion, Lyssa remained prominent. A new series aimed at assisting teen mothers in finding employment was initiated by her. Giving advice and assistance in a practical way. Teens, in her opinion, were subjected to an overwhelming amount of sexually explicit messages, and when they became pregnant, they were either publicly chastised or made news stories about. To get to the bottom of it all, she wanted to reveal the truth. Additional details concerning the concept were divulged by her later on. In addition to her talks with MTV, she had teamed up with Bunim Murray. The idea was to document the challenges faced by teen mothers by gaining access to their daily lives. Unfortunately, the concert was cancelled since the timing wasn't perfect. But Lyssa wasn't completely absent from the screen. Her 2014 TV appearances included a cameo on Hawaii 5-0 and guest spots on Dog and Beth, the spin-off series created by her stepmom Beth and her dad Dwayne, on The Hunt. However, she revealed on a subsequent episode of the Rumor Mill podcast that reality television no longer captivated her. Something more akin to a documentary, something that actually mattered, would have to be the reason for her return. Aside from work, my life has been a roller coaster of ups and downs. According to Lyssa, her perspective on her dad shifted as she became older and realized that Dwayne had done his best to raise her. Even after Beth's 2017 cancer diagnosis, the father-daughter relationship remained strong. After battling a chronic cough for some time, Beth's doctor diagnosed her with stage 2 throat cancer. Despite hearing such news, her resolve to fight remained unwavering. At the time, Dwayne was visibly distressed and anxious to shield her from harm in interviews. Beth got a new skeleton. After appearing to be on the road to recovery for a while, the cancer made a strong return in 2018. They discussed her struggle in the Dog and Beth Fight of Their Lives TV program. Concurrently, tensions rose between Beth and Lyssa. In 2019, on Mother's Day, Beth said that Lyssa ignored her, which allegedly started their feud. Things on social media quickly became chaotic after that. Beth made a derogatory comment about Lyssa. Replying that she doesn't cope with rubbish, Lyssa clapped and ended the conversation. Even Lyssa's fans got involved, with some praising her and others criticizing her. Lyssa was unapologetic in her criticism of others and her determination to ignore their views. Beth opted to maintain her optimism in the face of all that public bickering. Dwayne and her son Gary D. were particularly important to her. She tweeted about him in May of 2019 and even had a humorous, encouraging messaging exchange with Dog. By the way, Gary D. has been building a reputation for himself in the bounty hunting industry, just like his family before him. Similar to Beth, Lyssa too discovered methods to ground herself. She raved about her favorite TV hosts, like Dustin Duck Campbell, and her affinity for series like Naked and Afraid. Then the most challenging part arrived. Beth was only 51 years old when she died in 2019. Dwayne broke the tragic news online, noting that Beth typically hiked Coco Head around 5:32 in the morning in Hawaii. In contrast, she ascended a different trail that day. Following the Waikiki memorial, Lyssa paid tribute. She expressed her utter lack of words alongside a photo of her daughter strolling hand in hand with Dwayne. She tweeted a throwback to their pranking days together, reminiscing about how she and Beth used to run the boys with Dog and Tim. Dwayne later attempted to put an end to the rumors of a feud. He clarified that the situation was simply the type of conflict that can arise between independent women and that it was far from dramatic as was widely believed. He claims it had nothing to do with feelings of pity or hasty apologies. They had truly reconciled prior to Beth's passing. However, in January 2020, things started to change. When Lyssa Chapman learned that her dad, Dwayne "Dog" Chapman, had begun dating again shortly after Beth passed away, she wasted no time revealing the news. Who is he seeing now? Moon Angel, a woman who had allegedly dated one of Lyssa's brothers and had allegedly been Beth's assistant for more than 20 years. For Lyssa, that was unacceptable. Considering how close Moon had been to the family for so long, she went on social media to accuse her of assuming the role of Beth too quickly and casting doubt on her intentions. When Dog proposed to Moon live on air on Dr. Oz's show, tensions rose. Rumor has it that Moon became emotionally entangled in the moment's intensity, which had all the makings of a dramatic, tear-jerking, and unexpected moment. Although this was happening, Lyssa continued to speak up. After a supporter attempted to justify Dog's social needs, Lyssa retorted with an incisive comment that demonstrated her complete disbelief. Around the same period, Lyssa also had some significant difficulties. Her claimed crimes of harassment and resisting arrest led to her arrest in Hawaii in January 2020. She explained her side of the story to The Sun, saying that it all started after she and her partner got into a violent dispute while they were both drunk. She said the police were very forceful and that the situation never became physical. Contrarily, the court records presented a more bleak image. She was subjected to harassment charges a month later after allegedly making 2 instances of inappropriate contact with police. Lyssa, who described the ordeal as humiliating and distressing for her family, stated her intention to contest the allegations and even contemplated filing a formal complaint against the police. Despite the chaos, she and Dog were able to begin to mend their relationship. "It was nice to reconnect," Lyssa wrote on March of that year after posting about a family gathering in Hawaii. Lyssa went above and beyond in her support of Dog's engagement to Francie Frayne in May 2020. To indicate that she was making an effort to move on, she posted a heartfelt shout-out to Francie on Instagram. Afterwards, Dog and Francie spoke with Entertainment Tonight about how their friendship developed out of their shared loss. Unaware that Francie's spouse had also passed away recently, Dog had contacted her home. Their bond became stronger after that. They became closer as they supported each other through the anguish of losing Bob and Beth. Even though Dog and Francie were wed by 2021, their wedding was far from trouble-free. The invitation list omitted Dog's daughters Cecily and Bonnie. Their explanation, they told the press, was because Dog thought they looked too much like Beth. Bonnie went so far as to publicly accuse Dog of using homophobic and racial remarks while filming and asserted that he had not changed. In contrast, Lyssa supported her father. She wasn't just there for the wedding, she openly backed his partnership, stating she hoped the rest of the family could discover the same tranquility they had. Lyssa seems to be clinging to the notion of healing, whether it be for herself or for her father, for better or worse. Afterwards, she celebrated a personal milestone, a year and a half of sobriety, on Facebook in December 2022. It hadn't been simple to get there, though. Addiction ravaged Lyssa's family from the time she was a little girl. Much of her upbringing was impacted by her mother Lyssa Ray Britton's battle with substance usage. Lyssa ended up going down the same road, becoming addicted to drugs and alcohol at an early age. In 2011, things reached an all-time low. At the time of her arrest for trespassing, someone had apparently slipped something into her drink, leaving her bewildered and disoriented when she found herself out on the street in the middle of the night. Maintaining sobriety was challenging even following that arrest. For a long time, she drank sometimes. However, everything fell into place in 2021. Lyssa was unable to take her sick puppy to the vet since she had been drinking. She had an epiphany while seated in the waiting area, tipsy and holding her ill puppy. Who could this be for her child? The question struck her deeply, and it was sufficient to motivate her to begin those initial 30 days without alcohol. Thereafter, advancements continued apace. She acknowledged that the holidays were challenging when she reached the 18-month mark in late 2022, but she remained resolute in her decision to continue on the correct track. Concurrently, Lyssa and her father, Dwayne "Dog" Chapman, were in a sticky situation. Dog suggested violence and made derogatory comments about the LGBTQ community and Dylan Mulvaney on a Facebook video. The response was swift and harsh, particularly because Lyssa is a member of that group. Following the live broadcast, Lyssa openly apologized to Dylan and all members of the transgender community. According to her, the father she knew growing up was nothing like those remarks, and she was at a loss to understand his motivations. She was honest about her worries, particularly about the media her dad had been watching recently, but she still loved him. Bonnie, her sister, also spoke forward, expressing her horror at Dog's remarks. Lyssa continued to support her father, even though she was obviously disappointed. She assured her admirers that she thought he had loved and supported her from the beginning. Even when claims appeared that Dog was racist or homophobic, Lyssa stood firm. She asserted that her sisters were lying and associating with people they knew from their past, whose priorities were never those of the family. Despite everything, Lyssa never lost sight of her own life. She had a daughter named Madeline from her previous marriage to Beau Galanti. Even if her marriage didn't endure, Lyssa never stopped believing in love. They were married in a modest ceremony on a Hawaiian beach in 2022 after meeting in 2016. The beauty lay in its simplicity. A small gathering of relatives, with Lyssa's uncle David performing the ceremony and the sound of the waves lapping at their feet. Madeline, Abby, and her new in-laws were all present. Lyssa described it as a dream day, expressing her gratitude and profound love while acknowledging that she didn't always think she deserved such joy. Lyssa wore a long, billowing dress, and both women sported white. Dressed in shorts and a button-down shirt, Liana sported a vibrant tropical flower crown. After the ceremony, Liana shared a statement of her own, expressing her awe at the opportunity to spend the rest of her life with Lyssa. Even though Dog wasn't physically present at the wedding, Lyssa clarified that it wasn't due to an argument. Even during the ceremony, he remained on the phone with her throughout the entire morning. He explained to People magazine that he was unable to go back to Hawaii at the moment. Even without Beth, it was too difficult. His affection for her relationship and happiness, Lyssa added, had always been evident. Imagine our astonishment when, in 2024, Lyssa hinted at a return, shocking her fans. In her announcement that she was going to retake the bond licensing exam, she included a photo from her bounty hunting days. The comments were lighted up with encouragement from fans. She went on to say that she had her license when she and her dad were on the show, but she had let it go. She made it plain that the Chapman name isn't finished yet, whether she's returning to bounty hunting full-time or merely staying prepared. Lyssa has accepted a completely new phase of her life, which helps to paint the complete picture. These days, she creates material and is an OnlyFans creator. With a photo carousel set against a beach backdrop, she welcomed in the new year of 2025 while basking in the sun, appearing carefree and confident. She flaunted a floral bikini, a tribal shoulder tattoo, and even managed to sneak in some peaceful moments with rainbows and chickens. Loving the excitement and admiring Lyssa for simply being herself, fans flocked to the comments. The events of Lyssa's story continue to unfold, from a difficult beginning to sobriety milestones, from open family strife to falling in love, from bounty hunting to beach vibes. If her story demonstrates anything, it's the transformative power of second chances.